Hey all you Minties, this is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and join me today for my overview of the Incal, the black and white deluxe edition from Humanoids. So, let's get started. And before getting started, I do want to thank the folks at Humanoids for sending us a copy of this book. This book is already released everywhere, so it's been out for a little bit if you're interested in picking it up after watching the overview. So here it is, Alejandro Jodorowsky's and Moebius's masterpiece, The Incal, in black and white. This is a very interesting edition. This is published by Humanoids, and it does come sealed, and it's got a plastic around it. There is a sticker that says this is the black and white edition, in case you're picking it up, because nowhere here does it say black and white deluxe edition. This is a hardcover, and it is art on board. The retail price for this is $99, so this is a very expensive niche book, but it is a beautiful book. So here we have Jodorowsky's and Moebius, the Incal, Humanoids down there, and the deluxe black and white edition, allowing readers to experience Moebius's work in black and white format. Down there, of course, the retail price, the ISBN, and art on board. Now, this has been previously released in many types of editions. We have the classic collection. This is a hardcover by Humanoids. And over there to the right is the big slipcase deluxe edition that came out a couple of years ago, and it was limited. Well, they are reprinting it, so it is coming back in 2023. And I'm so excited for that because they're restoring a couple of pages that they actually have the original masters from. But we're going to be looking inside here. I'm not really going to be talking about what the Incal is because I've already done that when I did this overview. Maybe it was in 2019. 2019, because Meta Barons was 2020. So this came out in 2019. Apologies for that. But it is being, well, there is a new printing coming out. But we are going to be looking in here. And if you want to know more about the Incal, then just go and watch that video. I'll leave a link above. But here we're mainly going to be looking at the artwork and doing a comparison to the color and what makes this stand out and, decide on who this is really for. And of course, answer the question, which version is better? So let's go ahead and take a deep dive into this book. Opening this up again, art on board. This yellow end paper there. And the Incal, printed in the same paper stock that they used, I want to say, for the original slipcase deluxe edition. Here we have the credits, Alejandro Jodorowsky, Moebius, Sasha Watson, and Justin Kelly doing the translations, because this is the actual finished product. This is an interesting release. The original edition editor, and a couple of people behind the scenes there, when it was originally printed, because this did come out in France a few years ago before it came out here to America. So it kicks off with this classic scene right here, Night at the Crimson Ring. And we open up, of course, with this beautiful splash page that is just, for anybody that has read this or has ever heard of this, embedded into our brain. This John the Fool just falling to his death, maybe. Well, if you read it, you probably know how this is going to end. But it's just interesting to see it in black and white. It's so different than something like an artist edition. It feels more like one of the noir books that DC put out, like the Batman noir books. Because when the Incal came out, it was always in color. What they've done is strip away the colors and just given you his black and white finished art. So it's not even the pencils, so it's not like the artist editions that IDW has been putting out. It's more like I said, the noir versions. So that is one thing to understand. These aren't pencils, these are actual finished inks. Now that is something interesting to look at though. How the lines differ, which lines are thicker than the others, how the contrast really works on something like this, and then how much it really leans on the colors, because it is a team effort. The work that went into this, you had Yodo's writing, and you had Moebius's artwork, and then you had the colors. And it's so interesting to me to see how much they relied on the colors. Because what I said earlier, which version is better, I really do think it depends on your taste, because I find some pages in black and white that are absolutely beautiful. And then I think, like, this is a prime example. Some of them look like a little bit of a cluttered mess. So when you have some of the artwork found here or in the next page, it kind of blends in together. So it's a little more difficult to know how to follow the story. Well, of course, you've got the panel breakdowns, but within the panels, a story within a story is told through panels. I've talked about the importance of understanding comics and how much that book means to me. That's all explained through there. So when you have big scenes, your eye has to follow something, and usually it could be the words, but the colorists really do a lot to break apart some of this cluttered background or foreground. Sometimes the background and foreground kind of look like the same flat image. But then there are beautiful pictures that, oh my gosh, by the way, ribbon. You all know I love ribbons. That just make you appreciate his detailed art on the architecture, on even that whirlwind right there. It's just insane. The amount of people he draws in this Colosseum, these rats that are individually drawn. We're talking long before computer generated art. It's so amazing to see one artist do every little thing, every amount of detail on the lines, on the warts, every imperfecture just captured. But then again, things sometimes get lost like this in the art, and the colors really bring them out. And I'm going to do a little comparison here in a bit, because sometimes it's really cool to see how the colors help, and then sometimes how they distract you. Because I think some of this stuff right here, the linear work, that looks really solid, but the colors add so much to this. And this, by the way, does contain the extra story. So it doesn't have a lot of extras, but it does contain the story that was written in 1989. So that's in here, as well as the director's cut, or as well as the deluxe edition, the slipcase edition. And that is something that I want to point out, is that this is a lot bigger than the classic edition, the standard size hardcover. This is the exact same dimensions as the slipcase edition book. Of course, this is without the slipcase. So I think that's really cool. So let's look at the very classic opening, of course. So here, the color version looks to me just as good as this. And I think a lot of it has to do with the way I remember it. But this, let's take a closer look here. Oh my gosh, this is like seeing this scene that I'm very familiar with in a brand new light. Like, I don't know if it's the lack of colors, but it's helping me notice the amount of details and architecture and lines that are in these buildings. Like, I don't think before I would get lost in this tunnel, but for some reason here, I am, and I think that's just the way the dynamic lines are just kind of showing me that this is where he is heading. Whereas here, I get that the colors are starting to fade the closer it gets to the ground, but I was more focused on John DeFool, like, where is he floating? What exactly is happening? And because he doesn't have any action lines, if you will. But I just wanted to showcase the differences here, how much the color adds. And then, of course, how much it could take away, too. Like the individuality and all these little people down here. It's almost drowned in all the yellow and white that they're using here. I promise not to go through each page. Now, one thing I will say, of course, this is mature content. There's a lot of sexual content in here and a lot of violence. So it's the same in the black and white edition. The translation is identical. But here, yeah, like the shading on the ship is all added by the color, whereas this just looks like a flat image. So the color really adds a lot of definition to this particular police central station than here. The windows are clearly windows here because of the different colors and the reflections, whereas here they're just kind of lines. It could be a building or it could be windows. Had to skip some sexual content pages there. I wonder how much of that was actually Moebius directing the colors. Like, did he get together with the colorists and suggest a few things? So this is really cool. Again, some of this stuff you get a little bit lost between what's in the foreground and what's in the background. Whereas here, clearly, these guys are ripping through this wall, and they're coming in shooting up the place. So This is where the colors come in handy. But here, it's a lot more crisp and clean. See a lot more definition for some reason in the black and white than you do with this. Just a little bit of drowning out the background, which is a technique that was used all through the 80s and 70s and 60s. The background just seems to be all one color. Now, this is the exact opposite page, and I just said I'm not going to go through each panel, but I find this really cool that the contrast in black and white between the police officers and John here are a lot more clear than the yellow tones they give everybody. I find that interesting because to me, they obviously stand out. You know, they're villains, if you will, because they're wearing that black outfit. Whereas here, they're kind of, yeah, it's all this yellowy, muddy yellow color that they're using. And the same thing here with the TV stations. All one blue. There's some more of the ship I wanted to look at here, just to show the differences in the color palettes they're using for different parts of the ship. Whereas here, just could just all be colored one big color. Of course, censoring certain parts, but let's get to some classic scenes. Oh my gosh, look at that. By the way, there are no covers in this edition. There are no covers in the black and white edition, whereas the color edition has covers showing how much the colors add to space. That is crazy. This is what I was used to. But it does make you appreciate the line art here on the craters of the moon and how many little lines are in each of the craters. That is insanity. But again, yeah, there are no covers. It just jumps right into the story with the waves right there. Yes, the Deluxe slipcase edition does have its own ribbon, but just showcasing the differences here. This explosion seems a lot more epic here with the different color palettes they're using for it. Whereas here, could be the birth of a galaxy. Unless you're reading, of course, this story. There's the amount of details. But speaking of details, I mean, besides the ship and the planet, that mountain over here, my gosh. That is absolutely stunning. And I have to say, I think I appreciate the black and white more. It's just, holy crap. All these people here, all these individual characters. And of course, the colors did an amazing job. They very could have easily drowned it out in nothing but red and green. But they gave them faces, they gave them different shirts here. But just Moebius's amount of time and love and effort that goes into each panel. Golly. Just, I want to compare this one too. Because this is just one of these Colosseum scenes that I'm talking about. Every one of these little things. And granted, yes, they're not details. You don't see eyes or arms or legs being drawn there. But it's just so cool. And honestly, it looks more detailed here in the black and white. And just a couple of more comparisons. And the paper, I swear, it's a little thinner than the paper they use for this deluxe edition. But the paper is awesome. It feels like the paper that Dark Horse is using for the Sin City, the deluxe editions. It's just absorbing these blacks. And honestly, this looks so great. The detail is a lot easier to find here because the blues here just kind of blend the blues in the background and the actual mechanical parts here together. But here they stand out. Granted, yes, the background is white and so are the mechanical pieces. But for some reason, it's just the contrast between the black and white that just makes it stand out so much better. This is a beautiful piece, and I think it looks better in black and white than it does in the finished colored version. And again, just showcasing the opposite page of that, where colors add so much more to this, I feel like it takes away from this. So I think it's almost like panel by panel. Some things work better in black and white. Some things work better in color. If you've never read the Incal, do I suggest going in and reading it in black and white? To me, I have to suggest to read it in the way that the creators wanted you to read it at first. And that is in the colored version. Now, there are different colors. The humanoid colors are the true colors. There were the DC colors that they released with humanoids. And yeah, you can read reviews of that. But these are the colors you want to go for. And then come back to this, of course, to appreciate the art. this again goes back to print. Well, a new version of this goes back to print next year in 2023. Now, I wanted to do two more comparisons between these two pages, because this is later on towards Moebius's final arc on Incal. But I like how the colors add a certain dirtiness to this particular city, which the colors do throughout the entire book, but just compared to the black and white here, which could be holes or craters, here it just looks like a mess. And as well as it should be, because if you're reading the story, you know what's really going on. But this page right here is obviously who turned out the lights, and that's what you get from both of them. Again, there's more background colors here, whereas here it's just black and white. But this works. This works damn well. I love it. I could sit here and compare the whole book. Big fan of the story, so it's nice to have another edition, and I feel like that's what the point of this is. Gives readers or people that love this story, or people that love Moebius's artwork, another edition that they can enjoy it. Again, the stuff was originally in color, but this is like taking away the colors and giving you a new edition for the first time. And a lot of these panels that you may remember in your mind, in your memories, look like a different type of panel. Especially the last arc and some of the extra pages. I don't want to spoil what happens there. But yeah, that's all I've got to say. It's a beautiful book, and 320 pages, $99 retail price. But that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsors. If you live in Europe and are interested in buying and pre-ordering Omnis, then you should definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices for Marvel and DC books within the EU, flat rate shipping of €12 for all EU countries, bulletproof packaging, and all emails will be answered within 24 hours. They offer a huge selection of out-of-print books. Just head over to waltzcomicshop.com for more great deals and rare titles. And for a limited time, you can use the code nearmintcon, all one word at the checkout, to get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order of over €40. Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for Omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this black and white edition. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read the Incal and what you thought of the series, of course. If you did pick up the black and white edition, what you think of Moebius's work, what your favorite Moebius work has been, and what you think of this black and white edition in case you got it. If you have any questions, leave your questions down below. Don't forget to check us out on Patreon and Spreadshop. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. And more importantly, everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.